Welcome to Real Talk for Coaches, the podcast where we explore the trends, techniques, and transformative power of coaching. I am your host, Dr. Dawn Reid, and joining me is my co host, Coach Will. You know, I love him. He is my wonderful, dedicated partner in crime. I'm so excited to have him here. And on this week of Real Talk for Coaches, we will dive into the transformative power of holding space. Will and I are going to explore why some of the most profound coaching breakthroughs happen in the moments of sacred silence. And to be honest with you, um, Will, you and I are going to be talking about lots of components that come back to this idea of silence and holding space and being present. And so the next couple of episodes are we're really going to talk about this, and this is a key core coaching competency for coaches anyway. So with that being said, how you doing, baby?
So you had the silence. I just held some space for you. No, I'm just, I just,
I
I
see.
just, I just wanted.
No, what's funny, I was sitting there going,
Can he
"Okay,
hear
that
me?
was
Yeah,
silent.
yeah.
Can you hear
See
me?"
how I had you in
I
your
yeah.
thoughts. See how you started thinking. It was like critical thinking. I started to hold it for like 5 seconds, but then I was like, we're doing this, for the first time virtually, so I didn't want you to think it was something wrong, you know. So I was like, but
And
I was practicing silence, giving you space.
you was praising. That was good, and my brain was like my coaching brain was like, "Let it ride," but my human brain was like, "Why are you not talking?" All
Yeah,
good, all good.
yeah. Yeah, but
So,
I'm doing good.
it's
I'm
so
doing good.
you doing good?
Yes.
Good, good. It's the holiday weekend for our Christian brothers and sisters who will be celebrating Easter. For our pagan brothers and sisters, they may be celebrating spring and spring equinox. So, anything you doing this
Don't
weekend
forget about the people who
besides being
celebrating the
here with
other
me?
420. I mean, not that that's, you got a whole bunch of other people that will be celebrating that that whole other that whole
Yes,
other 420.
that the whole other
Yeah,
420.
yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
yes, yes.
that's a whole can't leave them out. Don't don't wanna, you know.
No. Look, you know we believe in belonging,
Mhm.
so we
Yeah,
celebrate
that's see that
everybody.
go to as
So,
that is
y
inclusion.
as inclusion
That is inclusion.
exactly.
Yep.
So, happy holidays to everyone this weekend. So,
Yes.
yay to everyone celebrating this weekend.
Mm.
So, you ready to get started, good sir?
Yes, I think so. I think so. We got a lot to cover over these next few
We
episodes.
do,
So
we
yeah.
do, we do. It's gonna be interesting. So today we are gonna be talking about the art of sacred silence when holding space becomes transformative. And so when we talk about sacred silence, when we talk about, as you demonstrated today, it is just that moment of where nothing is being said by us, right?
Right.
And sometimes nothing is being said by the client. And so when there is silence, the idea is that we hold space for it. There's no need to fill it. And, just from the human perspective, ooh, we sometime have been conditioned, most of us have been conditioned to fill space with noise.
Yeah.
We feel like if there is talking or not talking, I should say, if there's not talking, then there should be talking, right?
There's something wrong
But in
if it's
coaching,
silence.
there is a power. Yes, if it's silence. Exactly, exactly. And so we're going to really get into the power of presence and kind of going beyond active listening because we're still listening and silence says a lot.
Right. Yes, it does. Silence does say a lot. I mean, it allows people to go into their own thoughts. They may be looking for feedback from you, but you're trying to give them room to actually
Mhm.
think through it. So I think it's a good judgment of your client. And I know later on we're going to talk about some other things. Um, what about you? What is holding space different from active listening? What do you think about that?
Well, one, it is more like active listening and holding space for silence. They're kind of parallel. So when we talk about active listening, again, we're gonna have an episode about that
Mhm.
coming up. But when we talk about active listening, we are talking about what are we hearing and what are we not hearing,
Right.
right? We're looking for particular patterns and words and meaning, right? With holding space for silence, we are listening in the silence. We're partnering with the client to understand what does that silence represent.
Right.
So for example, you may ask a question and your client doesn't respond immediately. They could be thinking, right? And so that's where we, the active listening, we as coaches, we're looking at their facial features. We're looking at their energy shifts. We're looking at how is the client showing up in the coaching session when there is
Right.
silence, right? And so that's what we're listening to. So that's the active listening piece. The holding space for the silence is letting the silence be present. Just like we as coaches must be present mentally and physically, the client must be present mentally and physically. The silence itself has the opportunity to be present during the coaching session.
Right. Right. Understood. Understood.
Mhm.
All right. And then there's two models, correct?
Mhm.
The mind
Yes.
model and the para model, PARA model that create transformative moments. Do you wanna just give a little, 'cause I know we're gonna go into that deeper later on, but you wanna
Yeah.
give a little overview on what they are?
Sure, of course. And the well, one, mind stands for mindfulness or meditation. The I is for investigate or inquire. The N is for notice or note taking. And the D is for decision, deciding, right? What you want to do. And para is pause, and I use this one so much. Pause, and then the A is for assess. Assess what's real. Assess what's going on. Helping you be present, right? R is for reflect, and this kind of now you're putting the cognitive piece of thinking about what you've assessed, and then the last A is to act or not act because I believe that not acting is an action. So A is acting, and where the silence comes in is M in the mind model and P in the pause model, power model. So when we ask the client to be mindful of something,
Mhm.
to take a moment and pause, we're holding space for the quiet piece or the silence piece to allow them the time to think through what they're feeling, what something means, what we ask them regarding a question, their agenda, what makes it important to them, all of that good stuff. And so when we apply the mind or the para model, then what we're doing is we are implementing silence during that time.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great.
Mhm.
Understood. Understood. Let's move on to talking about boundaries,
Okay.
managing your energy while holding space. Now, just reading that title alone could mean something like not getting too ahead of yourself. I could be reading a little bit wrong,
Hmm.
but I'm, just elaborating on the way I'm thinking about it in general.
Well, our goal is never to manage our clients' emotions. So it's definitely from the perspective of managing our own emotions, right? So here the best way to kind of explain it is to kind of give you an example. So, real case, had a client, they were discussing something that was very emotional to them, right? And they started to cry.
Uh-huh.
So, the piece of holding space is to let them cry. Give them the moment to cry, to feel, to experience, and to process for themselves what's going on, right? Now, the boundary piece is us not getting caught up in the emotions, right? So for me, what I did during that time with the client was, one, I held space for them to cry. And my question to them after a few minutes was, how can I help you during this time? I can tell that this really bothered you.
Right.
Right. The other question I asked, even before that question, was, what's coming up for you? What are you feeling? What does the tears represent for you? Right. So allowing the clients to tune in and be present with what they're feeling and what the feelings mean. But I don't have to get caught in the story.
Right.
I don't have to start crying.
Right. Because kind of, yeah, which brings us to the next point, like, it's kind of like staying grounded, being able to stay grounded, and I'm
Mhm.
sure when a client does go through certain emotions, they can, we're all human. So, we
Yes.
may feel like, oh man, like I can, you know, it touches you in a certain way, where you may even
Mhm.
get emotional. Your allergies may act up a little bit, you know.
Cutting onions, start cutting
Yeah,
onions.
yeah, yeah. I mean, not that you're, it's just allergies and stuff, so but, what techniques do you suggest people use to ground themselves so, they can service their client?
Absolutely. So, things that I personally do, as well as when I teach the mindfulness piece of coaching through my program. One, I teach breathing. Like, I'm big on breath work, right?
Mhm.
And so what I typically do is, before a session, I breathe. I do a hold it. So I breathe in, inhale, hold it for a few seconds, then I blow out very slowly, right? I also make sure that my feet are flat on the ground, and I actually put my attention on feeling the ground under my feet. What does it feel like? Is it soft? Is it hard? What's going on?
Right.
Um, I put a lot of attention on, what am I feeling in my body? Am I feeling anxious? Am I still carrying emotions or thoughts or feelings from the last session? And if I am, I start to breathe to let it go. So what I do is, as I envision, this is where visualization come in. I'll start to imagine that whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm experiencing, let it go. Just as I exhale, I let it go. So again, I do some visualization, I do some breath work, and I become very mindful in the present. And I also ask myself, if I'm feeling anything, I ask myself, is it my feelings or am I holding on to my client's feelings?
Right.
And then I just assess, if it's not mine, then there's no reason for me to hold on to it. If it is mine, what is it? What's coming up? So I do that before and after a session.
Okay.
During a session, if I feel like a lot is going on, I'll ask the client's permission. Would they like to do a mindfulness exercise? Would they like to do a visualization or a breath exercise to keep them present? I may even do the mind or the para model and also implement those in the process to go, okay, let's get ourselves grounded. Like, let's pause.
Mhm.
Let's assess what's really important. Let's assess what the agenda is and what we want to get out of it. Let's reflect on the one thing that's going to help us move forward. Let's decide what we want to do. And I might use that power model to also keep grounded.
Okay. All right. And you teach all these, correct? I mean, I know you practice
Oh,
them, but
yeah,
you teach all
absolutely.
these in your course at
Yes.
Read Ready
Yes.
Coaching, right?
Yes, I
Correct?
do.
All right. Just wanted to make
Yes, I
sure,
do.
that
I
everybody
do.
knew that,
Yep.
you teach all these as well. You practice them and you teach them.
Thank you for the shameless
Oh, of
plug.
course. Shit.
But no, this is
We
good.
we we
Exact. But no, but I think it's really important to let people know that this is one of the things that make my programs very unique,
exactly.
because right? Because as we're learning how to coach and be better coaches, and understand the process of facilitating coaching professionally, I think it is important for those who are interested in training in these particular models and approaches to coaching. Yes, I absolutely teach this. I teach the whole person for the coach, but I also teach the whole person for the coachee or the client. And I think it is important to incorporate that in any type of coach specific training program. So thank you for kind of like honing in on that because sometimes I do forget.
Yeah, because like a lot of times you may teach it, but the fact that you actually use what you're teaching, you
Practice
practice,
it.
yes, practice
Mhm.
is very important. All
Mhm.
right. So now let's talk about, and bringing in with the whole, I mean, this could be mixture with the whole DEI and cultural awareness and things of that nature. So let's talk about cultural responsiveness and holding space. How does that play
Oh.
out for you within a specific session? Like things like understanding cultural context and storytelling,
Mhm.
how various cultures view silence and emotional. Like how do things like that play out for you in the session?
So so if I'm understanding you correctly, how are we incorporating silence in the cultural responsiveness piece? And so the best way I can explain is what I do and what I teach other coaches,
Right.
right? So one, the silence piece is for the story. Now, in the ICF, we talk about not getting lost in the story. And to me, there's a difference between holding space for it and getting lost in it. To me, getting lost in it is I'm contributing to your story from the perspective of, oh yeah, I went through this. Oh yeah, tell me more about that. And it becomes gossip.
Right.
It becomes woe is me. It becomes you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
However, when we talk about holding space, in most non-Western or non-European cultures, it the story becomes very important. What people want to share is very important for several different reasons. One, people want to give you context around their thoughts, their agenda, their decisions, their lack of decision, their lack of motivation. They want to give you the why. That's in the story. And most cultures hand down stories, hand down narratives. So for many cultures, storytelling is important. So the silence piece is that's our cue to hold silence for, to be quiet. Let people tell their story.
Right. They want to explain why they didn't
Right.
do X, Y, Z because of this, that, and the third. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Right. And I do want to make a clarification. When I say I think I really do want to say more non-Western cultures because there are certain European cultures that are more clan based or region based where they do still have the traditional storytelling.
Right.
So a lot depends on when we talk about modern versus still emerging types of markets and cultures and regions. And so we just have to remember that it's important for us to hold space for people sharing what they've experienced. And so that's where silence is important because we don't need to interrupt them when they're sharing the context behind the why. Now, if they get lost in it, such as he did this, he said this, she said this, then we're no longer really telling a story. Now we're kind of projecting responsibility and accountability.
Okay. Understood.
And there's a difference, right? Mm.
Right. So with the holding space part of it, have you ever come into a situation where people are expecting more from you? Like and you could tell they're expecting more from you.
Mm.
Like they're just like you're being silent, trying to give them things way, but they're looking at
Mhm.
you like, are you're supposed to be coaching me? Like, aren't you
Mhm.
like what do you, why are you being quiet? Like they may not say it, but they maybe look like,
Mm-mm.
well, why is this person being quiet? Like, why aren't they supposed to be
Mm-mm.
instructing you? Never. No.
No, because most people, and what again, if there are if there are coaches out there who have had different experiences, I would love to see it, read it, hear it in the comments. Please feel free to share. But what I've seen, what I've experienced is that people, this is the first time that somebody's listening to them. Most of us go through life listening to everyone else. It's very difficult to get space to say what you're feeling, to brainstorm and talk through what you want, what's important to you. And so what I find is when I'm silent, oh, please, people love it because it's the first time they get to really share about
Yeah, they
themselves,
get to open up
right?
when they may
Exactly.
not
So
normally.
I exactly. So for me, I find that I don't get a lot of, well, why are you silent? Now, they might ask, what am I thinking? Like if we're both silent. So everybody's silent, right? Because I'm waiting for them to answer. I'm holding space for them to think through what they want to say. And what I find is that they'll go, "What are you thinking? Because I know you haven't said anything." I'm like, "I'm holding space for you. I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to process. So you tell me what you're thinking, right?" And so I just flip a question back to them and just give them context why I'm being quiet. I'm holding space. I don't see them saying anything when they're talking and I'm quiet. It's usually when there's silence and I haven't said anything, but they haven't said anything. Then you'll hear them go, "What's wrong? You haven't said anything."
Right, right, right. Because they
Yeah,
may think
yeah.
they're saying something wrong when there's not really anything wrong to be said. It's just giving
Exactly.
somebody space, to express their feelings or something like that. I think people have a tendency to feel that immediately, like, "Uh-oh, did I do something wrong? Or did I say something wrong? Or did
Exactly.
I say something that I shouldn't have?"
Well, with that being said, we're going to wrap up because we really did say a lot. And again, we're going to be expanding upon the art of silence. We're going to be talking about being present. We're going to talk about so many other aspects, such as active listening, as we go through this month's segments. So please make sure you join us for upcoming segments this month. Um, be sure to follow us on social media. Both Will and I are on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can find me. And also YouTube. So you can even see the video version of our podcast on YouTube if you want to see us and our lovely faces. With that being said, thank you so much. Visit our website. We got training coming up, coaching, all that good stuff. And thank you guys. And I look forward to sharing more information on upcoming segments. Take care.